Hi, I'm Gretchen, and in this video I will be demonstrating a weaving cast on to you. A weaving cast on is one you can use when you have weaving brushes on your machine. I have a Silver Reed and here are my weaving brushes. And it's a cast on you use if you don't need the edge to be pretty. So if you're going to cast it on waste yarn and rip it back anyway, or if there's another reason why you just don't really need a nice looking edge. So as you can see, I have 20 needles already pushed out all the way to the D position on either side of my zero. And to start my cast on, I'm going to go ahead and run my carriage back and forth across them to push them back to the B position. Then I'm going to take my comb here and push every other needle out to the D position. At this point, I'm ready to grab my yarn. And you're just going to take your yarn. The easiest thing to do is just put a clip on the end of it, dangle it across your needles so that the tail is on the opposite side of your carriage. And you are going to want to make sure you leave yourself a bit of a tail there because it does kind of get pulled back into the carriage a little bit. And then you will simply take your yarn and put it into the feeder on your carriage. Now, at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to run your carriage. Oh, and the most important part with the weaving cast on, pop your weaving brushes into place by putting the lever from the zero to the wavy doodle down here. So, at this point, you're going to run your carriage across your needles, but what you want to make sure you do is kind of hold that yarn out until the middle of your carriage is around the beginning of your needles. Or it's going to get all kind of balled up in there and cause you problems. So then my carriage is set to stockinette. I'm just going to move it all the way across. And as you can see, it has cast on. Now, you should be able to just run your carriage back with the weaving brushes down, but you might end up dropping a few stitches that way. The surest way to guarantee that you won't drop stitches at this point is by pushing all of your needles all the way out to the holding position. And then they will all for sure knit, and then you can run your carriage back. And again, you can trust that your weaving brushes will take care of it, and just run it across without doing this. But for extra security, you may want to push all your needles out. And I'll do one. And you can see I just left my weaving brushes down and I didn't push it out, and I did a pretty good job, but it didn't actually knit this last stitch. So I'm going to push my needle out and manually knit that final stitch. And that's just the kind of stuff you may run into if you just rely on your weaving brushes. I'm going to go ahead and knit 2 more rows. And that one looks like it worked out well. And then the last one here. And now I have enough on my machine that I can hang my weights. So for that, I'm just going to take my claw weights and hang one at each end of the fabric. The reason that you need to knit a few rows before you hang them is because they will run into your carriage as you run it across. And they can actually prevent it from moving if they're too close. But as long as you're a few rows away, you should be fine. I'm going to pop my weaving brushes up just by pushing that lever back. And if the weights do get in the way of your carriage, you can just go ahead and kind of tug down on them as your carriage moves past. And that is how you do the weaving cast on.